Hey, welcome in everybody for a Friday night show. This is what we do. Ben's not here yet. Not sure if he fell asleep or what's up, but hey, you know, he's still working that crazy schedule, and I'm working on a plan to get him off that crazy schedule so we can, always count on him to be here and be awake and be alive and be alert, because he brings good perspective to this program. And let's face it, everybody likes his rants the best. So straight up, he's always been better at rants than me anyway. That's no problem. Okay, we will talk Packers stuff tonight. There's some interesting things from OTAs to discuss and get your thoughts on. Also wondering about, my guy. Hey, there's Rick. How you doing, Rick? And also David from Mississippi, and also a dad. Glad to see all you guys. Anyone else and everyone else is welcome on this program as well, as long as you keep it clean in the comments and as long as you are respectful in the comments as well. And I know we talk about Packers stuff and we talk some nonsense, and we make asses of ourselves happily for your enjoyment, hopefully, and also ours, because I laugh probably more than anybody on this show or during this show or when I watch it back. But since Ben's not here yet, I don't even know what to say about what's been going on in our country, the violence. The guns. I just do not know what to say. People are doing unspeakable things to innocent kids and innocent people, and this fervor of hate and division and anger and constantly wanting to find the things that we can conflict on, and then certain people continuing with platforms and big mouths continuing to spew hate and division and anger, results in stuff like this. It's not a new problem. It's been going on for a while. And just like traffic laws prevent us from getting in more car accidents, just like certain laws that we have about a bunch of things prevent us and keep the majority of the people safe. When the hell are we going to take this stuff serious and do something about it? And Emmanuel Acho, I'm going to call him out because he's awesome, by the way. If you've ever seen Emmanuel Acho, made an incredible point. I love Steve Kerr's raw emotion and energy he had earlier this week. So many people have said stuff about it. Many of them would say much more profound and impactful things than me. But Emmanuel Acho said an amazing thing and made a great point. Because a lot of people want to take this situation and relate it to themselves in order to get people to care or to want to take action or to do something, right? Picture that as your own kids. What if that was your child? But Emmanuel Acho profoundly pointed out that until we care about people we also don't know and people's kids that we don't know and value their lives, there's not going to be enough people and pressure to take action. My parents taught us to be considerate and to care about people and to respect other people. I know not everybody is lucky enough to have as good of parents as I had and have. But at some point, enough of us have to give a crap about everybody. Or we're not going to have enough to change. I'm going to take a minute, play the intro again, and talk Packers. We'll see you in a bit. Tell me why you're still hoping that I dream you. Got to find that unicorn. I still want you, maybe need you, make you mine. That unicorn, got to have you, 'cause I just can't live without you. Okay, as promised, on to the sports stuff that we'll normally talk about. So here we go. We have OTAs this week. I wanted Ben to be on to talk so I can point some of these other things out that I had to clarify, a little bit more myth clearing up. I wasn't as prepared last week. I apologize. To give the full picture on, Jair Alexander, his value, his production, what he's done. And I also wanted to give a comparison, just real numbers. Look, I like Jair. I think he's a very good player. Do I think he's one of the top 2-3 corners in the league? Should be paid highest corner in the league? No, I don't. But I like him, and it's great that he's still going to be a Packer because I think he's a very good player. But there are some things when you look at numbers that, kind of don't add up to the narrative. So we're going to just put that out there so you have the real information and can make an informed decision on your opinion about whether the Packers, should have paid him all that money or not, or whatever, especially after drafting Eric Stokes. And I got, stories this week sent to me about how great of a season Eric Stokes had and how he's so great. And if he is, then again, my big concern is tying up so much money in, and having so much invested. Number one pick last year, highest paid corner, and then you also signed Rasul Douglas. Right now, though, Rasul Douglas and Jair are no shows at OTAs. Not sure if that's a big concern for you, but OTA is voluntary. We also know there are other no shows. We know who some of those are, and the biggest one, who could use some time working with brand new receivers, a bunch of them, but neither here nor there. That's fine. We'll get Ben's take on it if he ever shows up and wakes up. But let's start off with a positive here, and that's TD. A guy I talked about as soon as I saw him last year, as soon as I saw him get on the field, saw his size. He's fast. He's a pretty good blocker. But number 84, the newest Packer tight end, Tyler Davis, could might be their best overall tight end of the whole group. And that includes Robert Tonyan. A healthy Robert Tonyan, by the way. Now, is Tonyan more dynamic in the pass game? Sure. And he has unbelievable hands. Again, 2 years ago when Robert Tonyan got to play all the games, 54 out of 59 targets were receptions. So Aaron Rodgers threw to him 59 times. 54 of those throws of those 59 throws were completed passes. That's unheard of. Okay, that doesn't happen. So number one, the dude gets open. Number two, he's got great hands. He's reliable. I wish he was a better runner after the catch, like we talked about in our show before. But everything else about Robert Tonyan is amazing. He's fantastic. Tyler Davis also was a quarterback going into college, and then wasn't going to get an opportunity to play quarterback. So he talked about it this week. His college coach was like, "You're too good of an athlete. You got to get out there. We're going to get you on the field. What do you think about outside linebacker?" And he'd been a quarterback, and he was like, I don't know about outside linebacker. And then he said, "Well, what do you think about tight end?" And he said, I can play tight end, sure. So he thinks like a quarterback, understands the game like a quarterback. Another one of those type of guys. Again, Tonyan was a quarterback as well previously, and now he's a tight end because he's 6'4", 250 some pounds. So he's a big enough dude, but he's got speed. He's got agility. He's got good hands. He's a very capable blocker. Probably right up there as far as their highest blocking level at tight end. And I just like everything about the guy. I don't know if anybody else noticed him right away last year or not, but now all of a sudden, everybody's talking about him. Everybody. Goody, the media, Matt Lafleur, everybody. Tyler Davis. So what do you think about him? Anybody that's around? Look, they plucked him off the Colts practice squad. I think it was the Jaguars first that had him on their team, and they dismissed him. So again, we've seen this before. Other teams dismiss a guy, the Packers scoop him up, and they kind of turn into something. Now, a lot of variables there. Was he overwhelmed at that first team? Where was he at personally? I think so much of that comes into play. Like, is the person ready to take on the responsibility of the NFL? I'm sure physically he's improved a little bit, built up his body a little more, worked out better, eating better, things like that athletes learn as they get into it. But either way, it's another guy who was cast aside, and the Packers have him. And I think he probably should be their number one tight end coming into the season, because I don't expect Robert Tonyan to be there and to be ready to go. So Tyler Davis, watch out for him, number 84. Andy Herman also noticed him right away last year and agreed with me, and he's made a video recently about that too, talking about he's like one of his 5 players to watch. He could have, if he gets opportunities and is on the field, I think he could have a really, really good season this year. And I think he could make you feel really comfortable about moving on from Big Dog as well. And Mercedes doesn't need to be on the field that much. Okay. Mercedes is a guy for backup, for depth, for leadership. Okay, great. But we don't really need to see him on the field that much. Tyler Davis is better, younger, faster, stronger. Probably just as good of a blocker at this point, and a much bigger threat in the pass game. So I'm looking for a big season for Tyler Davis. Okay. Other things that happened, of course, we know that Aaron Rodgers not at OTAs. Now, some people think that's a big deal. Some people think it's not a big deal. Again, does Aaron Rodgers necessarily need practice, need to learn the offense, need the early installs? No. But does Aaron Rodgers need to get to learn as quickly as possible how to work with Christian Watson? Christian Watson need to learn how to work with him. Romeo Dobbs. How about Sammy Watkins? How about, yeah, they need practice, especially the way Rodgers plays and wants you to know all of his adjustments and his checks and all the other stuff. So if that's the case, come on, man, dude should be there. I don't care. He's doing the match with Tom Brady and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, great. Good for you. You go to, you're a person with incredible money and resources. You go to different events here to there to the next thing, just like that anyway, and you're used to that. So come on, man. You should be there, Rodgers. Of course you should be there. Randall Cobb's there. Randall Cobb's there working with these young wideouts. Okay, let's think about that for a second. Randall Cobb, thank you, David. He does not show leadership, but Randall Cobb shows leadership. That was one of my questions for tonight's show. Who's the real leader? Who's the real leader? Is Randall Cobb the leader? Or Aaron Rodgers a better leader? I think Randall Cobb's a better leader. He's there right now. Randall Cobb took a $5 million pay cut off of his $8 million salary this year. Took a $5 million pay cut just to stay in Green Bay because he didn't want to move his kids around and he wanted to play football as long as he could and he wanted to stay with the Packers. So he's making $3 million this year. And he's at OTAs. Because he got a group of young wideouts that got to learn how to do it and how to work with this quarterback. So at least we got Randall Cobb there helping him out, coaching him up. But, man, think about that. Randall Cobb on this team as a leader, I like it too. That young receiver group needs it for sure. And he's going to be a huge asset to them, especially with all the new faces. And then, let's see. Oh, Adrian Amos is there. Adrian Amos is there. Kenny Clark's there. A couple other big names there for OTAs. But Adrian Amos, let's talk about him for a minute. Kind of an overlooked guy, right, for what he's brought to this team. But we said it last year as we were kind of going through and, Zadarius Smith revealed what he was and how he's kind of, basically a guy who was just there for the splash plays and then would take a lot of plays off. And we understood that. It took the Packers a while to figure that out. And then they finally did. And then they moved on from him because they didn't want to restructure. Now he's with the Vikings. We'll see how that all plays out. Told Mo last week what we think. But, and Preston started off well, had a rough second year, kind of just didn't have the production. And then, had a nice year last year, really. I mean, Preston Smith played well last year. If you didn't notice that, then you got to pay a little more attention to kind of the finer details of playing that spot outside on the edge. I mean, he had consistent pressure. He had great contain. He played the run well. Like, Preston Smith had a great year. And that's why Preston was signed back and Zadarius was moved on from. Preston showed it last year. And he didn't have the big splash sack numbers. He didn't have even the pressure rate or the sacks of Rashawn Gary, but he played very well. And that's why he's on the team. That's why they need him too. But Adrian Amos is this guy that kind of just, he was like that third signing of the free agents that year in that offseason of 19. And he came in and the guy was solid. And that's what people said about him. Like, he's a solid player, solid. And then he just kind of put solid technique and solid athleticism together with smarts and started making a lot of impactful, heady, important plays. Pass breakups, interceptions, things like that, where other guys were out of position, but he was in the right position. And he's been doing that for years. He's a good tackler, not a great tackler. He's not overly physical, but he's a good tackler. And again, he doesn't have elite speed, but he has awareness, smarts, knows what he's doing, and ends up making quite a few really good plays when he's the guy playing deep. Now, a lot of times they'll bring him up and Savage will be deep in like a one high look because Savage is faster, but Savage doesn't have the awareness that Amos has, nor the hands to make the interception or make a play. So a lot of times I think, Amos would be better playing deep safety, even though in your mind it doesn't make sense because you want the bigger guy closer to the line of scrimmage to help support the run and, stuff like that. But mostly because of Amos's smarts and awareness, I want him to be like my safety guy, safety valve in the back, if ever possible. So that's kind of, anyway, overlooked guy and a leader and a tone setter leader guy. Not overly vocal either. He's a quieter guy, but I think he brings a lot of good things to the table. And again, he's available. He's available. You don't see him all these injury problems like a bunch of other safeties, a bunch of other cornerbacks, whatever, who miss a lot of time. The guy's on the field. Okay. And I said last year, I don't know if anybody agreed with me, but I said last year at one point we had so many problems with guys, catching punts and just catching the punts that their most sure-handed guy was Adrian Amos, and they should put him back there to be catching punts. I don't even care if he returned it, but at least he would catch the damn thing. He's probably got their best hands, and I would have had him be on the hands team as well on kickoffs, on onside kicks, because he's a sure-handed dude. And you didn't have Tunyon at that time. You gotta evaluate your team. Like, who's got the best hands here? Who can I trust is going to secure the ball when it's our ball? So like onside kick, when you block it up right and that first guy gets a clean look at it before anybody touches him, that guy's got to have sure hands, be confident, pluck that thing and hang on to it. Same thing with punt returns. No one's going to touch you before you get to touch the ball. So I want a guy that can catch the ball back there. And Amari Rodgers struggled. Now we'll talk about Ben and I might get a chance to talk a little bit about what Jason Vrabel said this week about Rodgers, Amari Rodgers, and the receiver group and all that sort of stuff. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. Let's see. William G says should be there to build rapport with Watson. You are absolutely right. That was what we were talking about. Would have been a classy move, says Rick. He needs to build trust with his receivers. Absolutely. Rick says AR to be there. Oh, yeah. Who would show he's serious about making another run? We talked about that too. I've mentioned it. And it's something I said. Aaron Rodgers at this point, because of the legacy, because of some of the other stuff, because he already has a Super Bowl, right? But he also knows I'm never touching Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to get more rings than me. Like, a number of guys are going to just overshadow him with the number of Super Bowl championships. But what can he have? What is attainable for him to have, more than anybody? And that's MVPs. So in my mind, the way I look at it, my evaluation, my observations of Aaron Rodgers the last couple of years in particular, especially last year, I think 2 years ago, maybe, he was like, we'll get that Super Bowl, and really felt, but last year I really felt like, he won that MVP. He was chugging along thinking, yeah, I'll get another MVP. And I think that's why he stayed with the Packers too, to be honest, because staying with the Packers, yes, gets him to the playoffs. It's an easy path to the playoffs because the division's kind of a mess still. But staying with the Packers gives him the absolute best opportunity to win MVPs. Not necessarily his best opportunity to probably win a Super Bowl would have been to go to Denver. But based on the team they had, but he wouldn't have been as likely to win an MVP going to Denver if he was on Denver's team as he would staying in Green Bay. This is going to be harder. Maybe the stats wouldn't have looked as good. Maybe, when you start looking at quarterbacks in your division. So just think about this. He goes to the AFC West. I think him on Denver, and I think Russell Wilson's going to do well, and Denver's probably going to be very competitive. I know it's a competitive division, but Aaron Rodgers on Denver would give Denver a legitimate chance of winning a Super Bowl if Aaron Rodgers plays the system and doesn't try to overcomplicate the offense for all the other new players that he's working with. But if you're in that division with those quarterbacks, with Justin young up and coming, extremely talented Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, and of course you got Derek Carr there. Could you say, would a lot of people unanimously say he's the best quarterback even in his division? And this is my point. If it's not even understood that he's the best quarterback in his division, how would some sports voters and writers consider him to be the MVP of the whole league? And that's why I think ultimately because he proved last year to be very about himself, right? Very much about himself. And he showed those colors with his actions and his words. And he's shown it to us over the years. But I don't blame the guy necessarily because certain things about the selfishness drove me crazy. And you guys who've watched the show understand that. But in terms of his football legacy and his football life and his imprint he's going to leave on the league and the game, all he's got right now is quarterback rating, like we've talked about, and MVPs. If he can get one more MVP, he matches Peyton Manning, right? He matches Peyton Manning, but he didn't leave another team. He didn't leave his team to go to another team to get that MVP. He does it all with one team. So then it's a little shinier than Peyton Manning's 5 MVPs, right? And he was the MVP for that one team 5 times. It's more impressive, isn't it? And the other part is, I think he's got a few more years. And I think I could see it happening. I could see 2 more MVPs before he's all said and done. And if that happens, he's got the most MVPs in the league. Then you could have some people make the argument, best quarterback of all time. You could. Not the best winner, not the most accomplished in terms of, team victories and the ultimate goal, but personal goal, quarterback play. The guy had 6 MVPs, more than anyone who's ever done it. That could be his thing. So ultimately, I think that, of course, money and the whole idea of being able to do that with one team to make it a little more impressive in the final look is why Rodgers stuck around. Ben says he'll be here soon. We'll see. David, a great comment about Amos being the anchor. He really is. Love Amos. I mean, and I've come around on him. Like when they first signed him, when I first saw him play, I was not that impressed. And I was like, why do we sign this guy for big money? But then as I watch more and more, and I think he got more comfortable in the defense, Adrian Amos showed you more. But more than anything else, right? Some of those guys that make splash plays, but then give up big plays. I'm kind of done with those guys. They just don't impress me that much. But the guys that make solid plays, but then also can make some of the game-changing plays or the splash plays, those are the guys you really got to value and you got to keep around. And that's why Ben and I rave about Rasul Douglas, because he does both. Did the tackling, covering, and got big game-changing turnovers. Jair doesn't get the game-changing plays. That's just true. And we'll talk about that once Ben gets on here because I want to share it and get his perspective. Okay, what else happened this week? Packers OTAs. Oh, I hear a bleep. Oh. Think he's here? He's here. Oh, and he's a man in red with great hair.
I don't want to be a man in red. I'm sorry.
What happened?
Oh, I had a day.
What happened?
If something dumb could happen, apparently it happens to me.
Oh, all
Just
right.
the way it is, always dumb.
Always dumb.
And I was so toast, so out of it, so tired. I was like, I got to go to bed. And then I set my alarm, and apparently I set it for 8 in the morning, not 8 at night.
Oh.
So, sorry about that. But here I am. I don't know what you talked about. I heard you Aaron Rodgers, Zine, and maybe Amos, and that's about it. Whatever.
Yeah, that's well, I talked about Tyler Davis to begin because everybody talking about him now.
He's got a really big nose. That's what I would say. He has a huge nose. He's got a humongous nose.
He's 6'4", 252.
He's got a big
fast.
nose.
Well, I noticed his other big areas, and I think those are more useful for football.
Whoa, I hope you didn't notice all the big areas because that's weird.
Well, not everything, but like arms and legs and shoulders and stuff like that. That's good. And I think he's going to be a steal. Like I said, I think he can be impactful. Okay, so that was the other thing. And then I wanted to wait till you came out and we could talk about Matt Lafleur's position. I know you had some things about guys, guys not at OTAs that knocked him down a notch for you. Would you like to say anything about that?
If you want to go there. I'm sorry I interrupted whatever you're doing, but
no, that's fine. Just go for that part. I was just transitioning, so no big deal.
I just
Go ahead.
And everybody's going to say, here, this is my thing. If everybody is not freaking out, right? They're all the reporters are like, well, I mean, it's just they're not, it's voluntary. Like, I mean, these guys really don't need the work. They really don't need the work. They really don't need to be there. And it's like, okay, well then why is Aaron Jones and Adrian Amos and all these guys there then? Like, why doesn't Lafleur just say, you know what? We're just gonna have like everybody who's been in the league for 2 years or less or 3 years or less. You guys come, you know. Everybody else, forget it. Don't worry about it. You know, we don't need you to show up. You know, because what's the frickin' point? As much as, and I'm not like saying like, oh my God, why aren't they there? Oh, they're jerks. No, I'm just saying. The coach repeatedly for the last couple weeks has said, well, we want everybody to be here. We'd like to have everybody here. We'd like to have everybody here for the off-season workout, for off-season program. We'd like that's what he kept saying over and over. And then, but it is voluntary. Oh, but it is voluntary. And that's fine when it was just Aaron Rodgers. But the ones that concern me are who just signed a big contract extension? Who just signed a big contract? Jair and Rasul, not there. Why not?
Hey, I got a question.
You just signed a big contract. How about if you show some support for the team that you just signed the big contract with? Nope. The other thing. Now, Al Nazard he still hasn't signed his contract yet.
That's right. Yep.
So that's the thing about him. So I get, sort of. I still don't get it. It's dumb, but whatever. Just sign it. You have no choice. It's like you either sign it or you don't. You know? And you're not like a superstar. You're not. So I don't know what you think you're doing by proving by not signing the thing, but whatever.
They're saying he's the number one receiver right now. He's wide receiver 1, Alan Lazard.
Well, then show up and prove it and get some targets so that your money will go way up. If not with the Packers, with somebody else. And I understand, hey, if Rodgers isn't there, why should I be there? Maybe that's what he's thinking. Sammy Watkins, apparently he was there for like weeks and weeks just hanging around. And then when it's time to work, he leaves. That's the other one that's shocking to me is, so the guy was there. Even Christian Watson said, oh yeah, Sammy Watkins, and he and I have been talking. And you know, working on stuff. Because that's what Christian Watson said during his interview at his locker. But yet he's not there during the minicamp thing? Or the organized team activities? Why even be there in the first place? Like, why be there for 2 weeks or hanging out or whatever, and then all of a sudden when it's time to work, like, you know what, I gotta go party or I don't know. And then the one that's the most shocking to me is Ramsey and Jonathan Garvin aren't there. Well, those guys need what? You know the story on this?
Well, there was some thoughts for like those guys. There might be some nagging injuries or some different things, but still, then you could be at the facility.
David Bakhtiari was standing there in street clothes, not doing nothing.
Yeah.
Elton Jenkins was standing there with his jersey on, not doing nothing.
Yeah.
It ain't like they're still there.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. Let me ask you a question.
I'm wondering, I'm just wondering if the outside linebacker thing has got something to do with the new coach. Like the fact that Mike Smith kind of got shoved out of town, but he kind of wanted to be shoved out of town. So I don't really know. Like he wanted to leave. He asked for his release. It wasn't like they told him to go. So I guess I don't know. I just don't. It's an odd number. 4 guys from the outside linebacker group, including Preston, who just signed his extension. Another guy. Mm-hmm. And Gary, who's coming up to be, the next highest paid guy, probably at his freaking stupid position. It's I know it doesn't matter. I know that maybe the work isn't as great during this time. But Lafleur said during his press conference, they just started it. They did the first phase of the install. Well, it's the first phase of the install, and those guys aren't there. And they're going to be on the field most of the time. Every one of those guys, except for Ramsey and what's his face, Garvin. But still, the other guys, I would assume Sammy Watkins is going to make some playing time, or else he's going to get cut, one or the other. He's either not going to make the team, or he's going to get some playing time. So they're missing the first day of installs. It's just, and people are probably like, and I watched Andy Herman, and I watched all these other guys, and they're all like, I mean, they really don't. I mean, I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers did pretty good last year. He missed everything, and it's like, I don't know, man. If I was a guy on the team, I'd be pretty fired up. I'd be pretty like, what the hell? Now, if they don't show up for the mandatory minicamps, well, then we got an issue. Because this one's the voluntary one. The next one's not the voluntary one. So we'll see what happens there. But it's just, everybody's like not freaking out, and I'm not trying to freak out. I'm not saying like maybe guys haven't been there for years and what I get it. That's fine. But this is the all-in team. This is the all-in year. I mean, they signed back the big-name guys that they needed to sign back. They did everything we wanted them to do except for one thing, and that's trade Aaron Rodgers. Everything else they did right.
Yep. Oh, man, they could have made a haul from Denver. Look at that. How do you think – just a quick side note before we go back to the real matter at hand. How do you think Russell Wilson feels about being like the second option?
Well,
he's good with it?
He doesn't think he's a second option.
Come on, he knows. Come on.
He's not good with it. He thinks he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, but you know that he knows that he was Denver's second option. They didn't move on to that whole plan until they knew they didn't have a shot at Rodgers, and then they were like, okay, well, Russell, you're our guy. And I guess for him, he was just so anxious to get the hell out of Seattle that he probably was like, well, fine, but
yeah.
Still, somewhere deep inside that, Russell Wilson head and ego, it's got to bug him. It's got to eat at him a little bit. Okay, back to the Packer part. I have a question for you. Okay, because this was when I saw the cornerbacks too. I was like, whoa, okay, interesting with Jair and Rasul. But do you think? Okay, this is, and we don't know, but do you think, Rasul signed his contract early, right? Early and came on for cheaper than he probably could have got because of everything that he went through, right? He went through getting cast aside by all those teams. Nobody wanted him. The Packers, he caught on with the Packers, lit him up, and then they're like, we want you back. Here's a contract, blah, blah, blah. Actually, pretty darn cheap contract considering, but whatever. But he's like, it's a good contract. $7 million a year, more than I ever made in my life. Okay, great. Then he sees what Jair signs for. You don't think that has anything to do with why he's not there right now?
I think he is a savvy guy, and he knows exactly what we all knew too. As much as we complained about it last week, we know it was going to happen. I mean, come on. And I'm sure he knew it too.
Yeah, but look at the difference in contract and money.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I know.
I mean, you don't think that bothers him? I mean, you don't think he thought, well, I signed for this and you're paying, and I get that guy's good, but you're paying him that? I don't know. I guess if it were me, I'd be a little irritated by it, a little annoyed by it. It might make me not want to come to a voluntary thing, potentially, especially since that signing happened, so recently, and now he's not there. I don't know. I mean, I know it's speculation, but put it out there. That could be a real deal. I'm sure he'll get over it. He's a pro. He's not going to let this define him, and he's not going to let it distract from what he's doing because he's overcome so many hurdles. And that's why, Bruce was like saying stuff, and other people have been wondering, not just Bruce, but other people, lots of people wondering, oh, it's just a 1 year. It was a great year. Even Mo, like, well, it was a great year. And whatever, thinking like, okay, well, you're paying the guy because of that last great year. But I've talked about it before. We talked about it last season. Rasul Douglas, where he came from, his journey to even playing football, to even getting the hell out of the terrible living situation he was in as a teenager, to go and play community college where he almost didn't play football. Then they got him to finally convince him to play a community college to try to get the hell out of crappy conditions where he was living. And then he did that, and then he worked his way to West Virginia, and then he was a third-round pick, and then he's in the NFL, and he's playing pretty well. And then he gets moved to Carolina and has a rough year, okay? Wasn't bad, but it was a little rough, not to the standard he had set the previous years. And then all of a sudden, the carousel, boop, 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 boop. And nobody thinks you're good enough. Even the Raiders don't think you're good enough. And then nobody wants me? Damn, and I got to play for peanuts last year? So that guy's not going to fall off. He's not going to all of a sudden stink. Will he have as many impactful plays again? Maybe not. But is he still going to play hard and do all the good things that you want a cornerback to do? Yeah. So I'm not worried about that contract or Rasul Douglas not living up to it.
It's just, I embraced this guy. I believed in everything he said in all of his press conferences. He seemed like a guy who understood. Repeatedly, he said, it's the coaches who are helping me to get me in the right spots to make plays. That's what he said all last year.
Ooh, we'll come back to that, David.
So wouldn't you think, hey, I want to be there as much as I can to be with the coaches, with Coach Gray, and to make sure I'm prepared again, to make sure I'm ready to make plays, especially when my role may be a little different with Jair back, and he might not, Douglas might be on the field less, or who knows what. But, I don't know what they're going to do with those guys, but it's just odd. It's just odd because based on every interview he had, he seemed like a worker, guy who understood, like, I'm putting the time in, so that's how I make the plays, because I put the time in. That's how I know what's going to happen, because I put the time in. Well, part of putting time in is being there, when it's a kind of a big deal, like when everybody's there. And I know he had special time with the coaches by himself to get him caught up last year when he showed up late. But now he's there in the offseason, signed a big contract. Douglas should be there. Like, he didn't have this last year. And look how awesome he was. Think how awesome he could be if he's with the team now right away. And that's the other thing. Defense, like, a lot of people think offense is more important. Like, everybody should be there and know what they're doing. Yes, sort of. The thing about offense is a play is a play. And it's run the same every time. And as long as the defense just doesn't get in your way, it's always the same play. Like, this guy is supposed to run a 15-yard route. This guy's supposed to run a 12-yard route. This guy's supposed to do this, whatever. And you know exactly what you're doing every single play. You have zero reaction because you are the guy who knows what's going on. Now, Packers, for some reason, seem to run three guys in the same spot sometimes. They just run 30 yards deep on a 10-yard 3rd and 10. Don't quite understand all that. But that's the play. Yeah, whatever. It's really dumb.
I love it.
But on defense, your job is to understand, is to react and work as a unit to stop the other team from doing stuff. So, yes, the play is called on defense, and you have a job of whatever that job is. But because the offense does something, you are automatically a reactionary thing. So to be able to react to it as a team and know what this guy's going to do, what that guy's going to do, and based on this formation, if this happens, I know my job is to do this. Like, there's a million different things that you have to adjust to on defense, especially in the secondary and at linebacker. At defensive line, not as much, a little bit, but mostly you're keen on a few things. Where in the secondary, depending on what you're playing, if it's a man or a zone or whatever, if it's man, it's not as bad. But if it's zone, you have a lot of things you got to be worried about. And being there with your teammates help you understand, if the team runs, a certain shallow cross or certain concept, route concept, your job is to change on that and understanding what you have to do, but also knowing that you can trust the guy next to you to do what he's supposed to do and react and understand, hey, this is what happened. We both know, hey, this is what's supposed to happen when this happens. This is what's supposed to happen when this happens. This is supposed to happen when this happens. So it's almost more important for defense to be there, which sounds weird because you'd be thinking like, well, offense are the guys where you got to always be in sync all the time. And it's like, yeah, but a play's a play. And the defense can't even do anything to you. Like, they can't touch you before the ball gets there or nothing. I don't know why we're dead black here, bro. But anyways, and so that's why it bothers me that there's so many defensive players that weren't there. Like, that was the thing I was most excited about coming up this year. All the new defense, all the old defense guys that they signed back or extended. I'm like, yes, this is going to be killer.
I sure hope
where the hell are they?
Yeah, and I sure hope they aren't thinking, oh, we're going to be a dominant defense without putting the work in. Because, come on, I mean, it's not. They got some nice pieces, and they have the capability and possibility to be really good. And they should be. They should be a dominant defense and be able to be a turnover type defense as well, to the point where they could be top 5 defense in the league. But then that's not going to happen without the work. So, everybody else is working and trying to get better too. So they better be doing the same thing. I don't know. I just wondered, that was the thought that came into my head, because even though all the other variables, and you talked about it too, what Douglas showed you last year as a person, all of that, there's still people, right? And they still have egos, and they're still professional athletes. So, a guy signs and then another guy signs for a whole bunch more. And you look at, okay, what's that guy done versus what I've done? I mean, that's something. It's part of it.
I know. If it was me, I would be upset. Not upset, but also it's the way of the NFL. I mean, like I've said last year, how do you think Al Lazard, MVS, especially MVS, how many times do we watch an entire game of MVS blocking his butt off for Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon and didn't even get a target? Didn't even get a target. And Devontae Adams didn't block anybody the entire game. Mm-hmm. But MVS has got to be out there blocking his butt off the whole game and never get a target? It's ridiculous. I'm surprised they got out there and still played on the peanut contracts they were making in the fifth round draft pick. And that's why I had a lot of respect for MVS, and I hope he kicks butt with the Chiefs. I hope Patrick Mahomes throws him so many I hope he just destroys it, and then the Packers look so dumb, and Aaron Rodgers looks so dumb for throwing it to Devontae Slow Adams 100 times a game when he could have been thrown to a super speedster, and he didn't. And then with Patrick Mahomes, the guy gets maybe he gets 12, he turns into like Jamar Chase or something. I don't know.
He could. I mean, look. If he hits a number of big plays, he could be a Pro Bowler. He could have Pro Bowl season. I mean, the guy has the ability if he would get more targets. He just didn't get that many targets. And Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be like, well, you dropped one. I'm not coming back to you.
No, he'll go right back.
He could be like, you're open again. I'm zinging it down there. Go get it. Catch it.
Trust me. Tyreek Hill drops plenty of passes, and he still goes right back to him again because he knows if he catches this one, he's going to the house. So it's like, I'm going to keep going there because the guy's going to the house. And Kelsey, could you imagine if Robert Tonyan got some freaking balls thrown his way last year?
Right.
That's so. Even Lafleur, I think it was Lafleur.
The media led him to a question this week. Like, oh, well, you didn't get a chance to use Robert last year. Wasn't that a big problem, him not being there? But as you pointed out, time and time again, he was there
for the first 9-10 weeks,
and they didn't use him.
Rodgers never threw in the ball.
That's what everybody glosses over and forgets.
If I had a tight end with perfect hands and good speed downfield, and is actually way better at running before he gets his hands on the ball, I would be setting up some killer play action deep passes to my tight end, like they did the year before. But last year, they didn't run any plays for Robert Tonyan. Deep. Nothing. Whose fault is that? It's either the coach is a moron, which I don't think so because they proved last year that they weren't morons, or the quarterback is a jerk. I'm guessing it's the quarterback's a jerk. And what's he going to do now? And he's not there.
Right.
Listen.
That's the big thing.
Part of me, I'm gonna say this, and people are gonna be mad, and I don't.
Let's hear it.
I don't give a crap anymore.
Do it.
I am so freaking sick of him. All I want, if he ruins it, man, if he ruins this crap this year, I'm gonna be I'm picking apart every effing thing that guy does this year, even more than normal. Even more than I would know. And you know me, I picked him apart for the last 3 years and pissed you off a bunch for 2 years before you figured out the truth. If he screws this year up with this perfect defense, with Big Sakia coaching his special teams, or the wee fence is what they say, the wee fence, Big Sakia, and not only that, not only is Aaron Jones and Adrian Amos at voluntary OTAs, they're playing special teams at voluntary OTAs. Yes, Adrian Amos, AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, all playing special teams for Big Sakia. Yet Jonathan Garvin can't show up. Jonathan Garvin can't show up? And you got superstars like Aaron Jones playing special teams? What is going on? That's what bothers me. That's what bothers me. And now, you know what? I hate to say it. I'm a wishy-washy son of a gun. Aaron Jones is number 1. Rasul Douglas, you have dropped down, buddy. You got to prove to me this year, coming up again, that you can be a good guy.
Oh, you got to prove it every year, you know? Like, that's the thing. The players...
Well, Aaron Jones doesn't have to prove it. We already know. We've known he's a good guy from the start.
Right, the good guy part, sure. But the play on the field, he's going to have to prove it. They always got to prove it. It's, you know, that special teams piece is big, too. I mean, Douglas played special teams a whole...
He was awesome.
He
made a good plays last year. He was like the best special teams guy they had.
I know. And when they were having so many problems, they put him out there. And I think he said, I'll do it. You know, I mean, we need to see that same sort of guy. I think we will. Let's let this cool off. Whatever, it'll be fine. I'll tell you, you know.
Well, but you can't say it'll be fine with Rasul Douglas and then get pissed about Aaron Rodgers.
No.
So you got to be pissed about. You got to be. Hey, you got to do it both ways here, bro. And Rasul Douglas is my new favorite guy. I named him as a top 5 all-time Packer favorite player for me.
Wow, all time.
Well, I did. We did the top 5 all-time favorite Packer. We did that a couple months ago. You don't remember?
Yeah, I screwed up and I missed Tremont Williams on my list. That was
right.
That was
and then you added him. You made him top 5.5, 6.
Tremont's probably like, I don't know, one of my top 3. He's so good. I don't know how I just missed him. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, because I had Leroy Butler and I had I don't think I even had Aaron Jones on there.
I don't mean to screw you up. I just meant the point I was trying to say is one guy signed a huge ass contract for a crap ton of money. Another guy signed a nice, contract for him and then got way overshadowed. And that's the difference. It's not like, look what Aaron Rodgers did when they just drafted a guy at his position. Threw a big stink.
Oh, I know.
And all this other nonsense. And then, big like wishy-washy. And he turned into all this stuff that he's doing now with the, good, am I going to
I know is before Jordan Love before Jordan Love was drafted, Aaron Rodgers was at all the organized team activity every single year.
And he used to talk about it there every time, every locker, there were locker room interviews about how important these OTAs are and it's just important to be here as a leader and it's so great for the guys and blah, 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 every time, every single year until Jordan Love was drafted. So even though I tried to find video evidence of it, I couldn't find it on YouTube. They must have buried it or Rodgers, people scrubbed it off or whatever. But I remember watching it year in, year out. The guy there, the guy saying how important it was to be at, voluntary team activities. Of course I'm going to be here. Because people started asking him after he was like 10 years in, 8, 9, 10 years in. Well, do you really need to think you need to be here? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And that's what he said forever until one thing happened. But speaking of Jordan Love, did you get a chance to watch his interview this week?
Yeah. I watched all the interviews. I watched everybody. Randall Cobb seems irritated to have to even answer questions right now. Because they know he's Aaron's buddy, so they're like, well, why are you here? And he's like, I'm here because I want to be here. And they're like, yeah, but why do you want to be here? He's like, because I want to be here. It's just like, it seemed like Randall Cobb is just sick of stupid. He's just like, listen, I'm here. It's probably part of my $3 million I'm making this year after the $8 I was supposed to, that I got cut $5 million, that I'm supposed to, that if I get a bonus if I'm here. So I'm going to be here. Same with Adrian Amos. I bet you that's why he's there too. I mean, he said it last year when they had the mandatory minicamp, and they were like, oh, Adrian, how come you showed up and all those other guys didn't? And he's like, because I get more money if I show up. Duh. I mean, It's just not that dumb. But okay, sorry, I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh yeah,
No, that's fine. But yeah,
Aaron Rodgers off season deciding all of a sudden now it doesn't matter. Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, anyway, Jordan Love's interview. It wasn't a particularly good interview. He still needs to work on his interview skills. But it was interesting when they asked him about Rodgers coming back and stuff
His
like
big
that.
contract, yeah. Oh
He's
yeah,
like,
that was great.
Happy for him, but then I was like, man. I don't get to play again, son of a gun.
Well, he
guy.
needs to.
Poor guy.
The biggest thing with Jordan Love is it seems like he kind of reminds me of me.
Okay, explain.
Well, okay, he's super talented. So just like me, I'm super talented, super cool.
Oh, all right.
Right?
There you go.
He's got all the physical skills. I mean, look at me. I'm a physical monster. He's got the mental capabilities. Sharp as a whip. Super smart guy. Just like me. Genius. But, as we all know, like when Dad fell down playing basketball and broke his finger open, whenever something crazy happens, I'm like, wah, and I start freaking out. It takes me a second to calm down and react, and relax. Where Aaron Rodgers, he's always relaxed. He's always, RELAX. He's relaxed, man. That's Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love, something weird happens. He just starts chucking balls up for picks. The pressure comes and he's like, crap. Here, you throw it. Ugh. How many times did he do that in the preseason, in the Chiefs game? He's got an issue. He's got a little bit of an issue like me where if something doesn't go perfect, it's like Kirk Cousins, right? If something doesn't go perfect with Kirk Cousins, he kind of falls into a shell and like turtles up and is like, then just falls over. Jordan Love's like, throw it. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and you're right.
That's what he needs to fix.
Quarterbacks do one of two things. They either like go down, or like Cousins like crawl into their shell, go down easy, or they chuck it up there to get rid of the ball and just see what happens. And he's definitely the latter. And that's different. Now, the one thing I've said before, and the thing I think could help him, is if again, that's one of the reasons I was hoping to move on from Rodgers, is because then we could break away from whatever this offense has become.
Yeah, that's another thing everybody keeps talking about.
The melding of the Rodgers, Lafleur, whatever, the Shanahan McVay offense that Lafleur brought, and the Rodgers changes to that offense that they had to fit together into the Packers offense. Jordan Love, without all that complexity and with more play action passing and with more starting with the run and then working off of the run and boots and rollouts, it's an easier way to play. It's an easier game. But when you say Jordan Love, you're learning from Aaron Rodgers, play quarterback like this and work. These are our plays now because we have the Rodgers and the McVay offense, or whatever, Shanahan. We'll call it Shanahan because that's where it started. The Shanahan and Rodgers melding. Well, that's not Jordan Love's game. Like he's not gonna be the guy that deciphers all the stuff and figures everything out, runs the play clock down, and then knows exactly where he wants to go. Give him a play, let him run the play, do more play action, use his athleticism. He's pretty good at throwing on the run. That's his game. I don't know. That Chiefs game drove me crazy because it's like they tried to play the same exact offense.
He's playing Aaron Rodgers.
Guy.
Yeah.
He's not the same guy.
Plus, I still say Devontae Adams
screwed it up.
He was not going all out in that. Like, I don't know what he was doing. And maybe it was because Jordan Love doesn't know the Aaron Rodgers offense or whatever, and Devontae was still playing it's almost like Devontae was still playing the Aaron Rodgers offense and Love was playing the Lafleur offense. And that's why there's so many incomplete passes and balls thrown way too high and back shoulders that weren't there or that were there, that it was just weird looking. And you can't tell me you can't have something simpler for a guy to play. And use the entire team, not just one freaking dude. But that brings up a point that really bothers me this week, too.
All right, what you got?
Well, what you said. Andy Herman said it. A bunch of other guys said it. There's two different offenses. So if there's two different offenses, what's the even point of even getting together now? What's the point of even getting out there without, like, this is what Andy Herman said. He said, well, the guys have to learn this offense. Okay. And then when the during training camp, then they're going to have to learn to hold the Aaron Rodgers offense.
What other team
And it's
does
like,
that?
Nobody else does that. Nobody. I don't care what you say. There's one damn offense.
We're digging into some stuff now. This is stuff.
They said,
crazy.
They even said, I can't remember. Maybe it was Randall Cobb. No, I don't think it was Randall Cobb. But they're like saying stuff like, yeah, sometimes Aaron has his own audibles that aren't even the same as the Lafleur offense audibles. Like they're the old audibles because he didn't learn the new audibles. Because even though he's a freaking genius, apparently, he ain't genius enough to learn the new stuff. And that's what screws up all these young guys.
Think about that new guy, Christian Watson, the most dynamic athlete at wide receiver the Packers have had in, I don't know, since Sterling Sharp, maybe.
Yeah, Javon
Fair
Walker.
to say. Maybe Javon Walker was as dynamic of an athlete. This guy's walking into this like, I'm going to learn how to play this offense, and now I got to learn how to play this whole other offense and the way this guy plays it or does it. But even though sometimes he's going to say, come on, man. It's the same stuff. That's why I didn't agree with investing in a bunch on receivers, because
right,
it takes too long to figure out how to play with Rodgers.
And
that's why you needed to keep guys that have gotten used to playing with him, because you don't have the time. This year is it. You don't have the time to figure this out. Right? Do you? You don't.
Do you think that maybe Goody didn't draft any receivers the last couple of years because he knew they were all in seasons every year?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to waste a draft pick on a guy that's not going to play, and Rodgers isn't going to trust. And this year they were finally forced to draft a receiver because they've got nobody.
Right.
But I bet you he probably didn't draft anybody 100%. Because he was like, you know what, it doesn't pay because Rodgers is just going to demand like they're not going to see the field.
100%. I think that's true.
So, I mean, that's another thing.
Drafted Amari Rodgers last year. Guy couldn't even play.
Never got in the field.
Nope.
Why?
Nope. Jason Vrabel said he just didn't meet the standards. That's what he said this week.
The standards? So, what were the standards? Because I got to tell you, there were a bunch of
standards that they have.
What's the standards? Not blocking anybody like Devontae Adams? I could do that.
I don't know, but that's what he said.
Taking 2 seconds to get off the line of scrimmage so that your quarterback gets pressure right away and you're not open and he throws it to you, or he gets sacked or does something stupid because he's waiting for you to get open. I could do that. I'm really slow. It'll take me at least 2 seconds to get off the line of scrimmage.
This freaking show is so much truth tonight. We are laying out the damn truth.
I'm just sick
of.
Oh
my God. That's why you should subscribe for more truth. Oh my.
You know what else bothers me?
Go ahead.
It's not a Packer. It's not a Packer thing.
Okay.
So there was a top 5 quarterbacks or whatever it was from somewhere. I don't remember what it was. Some big thing, a national thing. And Justin Herbert was in the top 5. He wasn't number 1, 2, or 3. Rodgers was 2, I think, and somebody else was 1. And they were complaining. Somebody was like, they had him on there, but not Joe Burrow, not Lamar Jackson, not Watkins. Though Watkins hasn't played in 2 years. Who gives a shit? Oops.
Those guys aren't top 5. What the hell? Okay, go ahead.
And then somebody in the comments was like, what has Herbert done? Well, that these guys, look, Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo went to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl. That's a team, you dummies. These stupid fans that don't understand freaking football. Justin Herbert is the best freaking quarterback in the NFL. Just watch that Raiders game, and you'll know. He can make every throw. He stands in the pocket. He can run like a madman. Apparently, there's a picture floating around to him. Like some guy found him and signed his autograph and stood next to him. I don't know if this guy was a midget or what, but holy crap. Justin Herbert is a giant human. And beefcaked. He apparently he must have been lifting a lot of weights this offseason. I mean, he looks like a giant. It's like Andre the Giant and Vicini. That's what it looks like from Princess Bride. And this guy was probably a normal sized human. All I'm saying is the guy's a monster. He's got a rocket of an arm. He stands in the pocket. He's smart. He reads things. He's a good leader. He shows up for stuff. If his coach wasn't dumb and goes for it on fourth down every single damn time,
He
they
is
would
a
have freaking
really
won the
dumb
bunch
coach.
of. I mean,
he isn't. That guy's holding them back. Like, he lost games for them. Oh,
yeah, but according to the numbers,
God, he's so dumb.
all analytics say you got to go for it 75,000 times in a row because that's the way you do it. But it's not. Anyways,
analytics and PFF.
So I'm kind of like to the point where, as a Packer fan, it saddens me that our quarterback can't run the offense, or he chooses not to run the offense. Look at his numbers last year. The only thing that he was the best at was not throwing interceptions. And it wasn't because he was throwing balls in tight windows, because he wasn't. He won't throw over the middle. He won't take a chance when we need to. 9 consecutive drives, no points scored in the playoffs at home in Lambeau.
Oh,
the guy
was a
won't
special
take
teams,
a chance. Yeah, I know. Bruce brings up every time.
Everybody. It's
Bruce,
a special team shield. Did you like that comment I had?
No, I didn't.
About the shield? You didn't like it? Or you didn't
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about it, and I pointed that out. I was like, because they're like, oh, defense screwed us for years, and last year's special teams screwed us. And I'm like, dude, 10 points, and 0 for 9 on your last 9 times with the ball, 0 points on your last 9 possessions, and you're just it's special teams' fault? Like, I get special teams screwed up, but 0 for 9, 0 for your last 9, and 10 points? Are you kidding me? That's one hell of a shield. I said that shield's better than Captain America's shield because it's defense. Oh, defense. Oh, no, it's special teams. Oh, it's McCarthy. Oh, it's anybody. Rodgers got the best damn shield there ever was. Drives me up a wall. When are there no excuses anymore? When are there no more excuses for
I don't know, man. It's just I'm
sick of the excuses.
I'm sick of them. I've been sick of them for years. And the sad part is it didn't happen until I watched the film. It didn't happen until I got the L-22 and I saw what was going on. Before that, I didn't know any better. I'm just a guy. I don't know jack squat about anything. But when you watch the film, you see stuff and you're like, what? Why doesn't he ever throw it over the middle when the guy's open on a slant right there? Why is he looking at Devontae every freaking play, even when he's got double coverage? Why does he wait until 1 second on the damn play clock every single time? And every defensive player knows it. So they wait until the very last second and then change what they're doing because he thinks he could read the defense and know what's going to happen. Just long enough, wait till they move. Well, guess what? They wait until the ball snapped before they move now.
Yep.
And they're smart enough to know what to do. When you watch the All-22 of that 49ers-Packers playoff game from last year, almost every single play, the 49ers lined up in a way it looks like something, and they switched to something else. And Rodgers was frozen. Just why? If you could see the All-22, you would see it. And we know that he was frozen because they couldn't move the ball. They couldn't do anything. Because he thought something was going to be open, and then all of a sudden, boom, it wasn't. And then he just dumped it off to the freaking running backs for 0 yards on a 3rd and 8.
Late after Tate didn't get open or somebody couldn't get up. Then throw it late.
And not only that,
already in bad
why
spot.
do it? And you're doing it against a zone defense where there was 4 guys or 5 guys waiting for it 8 yards downfield at the first down marker, waiting for you to throw it to the running back, and then they all just go and smack him. Or DeGuara or whoever the heck it was, tight end sometimes. Or he just waited, set everybody on go routes on 3rd and 6. That's not a genius who's doing those plays. I'm sorry. I don't know why he got such a good score on the Wonder Rick like me and you.
David was ready.
Oh, what do you got?
David was ready. Start the season with Love at quarterback.
David, I was ready, brother. I've been ready.
It. Take all those draft picks we could have got, David, and oh my goodness.
Man, we could have had even more awesome guys. Well, I don't know. Goody still screws up. He doesn't take. I mean, Quay Walker.
Well,
Hey,
hey,
we'll
whatever.
see what he does, but
at least you got cheap players that you can plug in there and play and see what happens.
well,
But
Sorry.
Let me say this about that, just to kind of cap one thing, because some people are going to say, "Oh, you two are just hammering on Rodgers again. They're just hammering on him again." What?
I've been doing it for 3 years. I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, but this is legit. Everybody keeps blaming special teams, and you focus on that. These things happen in that home playoff loss where they only scored 10 points. And I'm going to make this point. If every Packers fan knows that Aaron Rodgers is running the play clock down to almost nothing every time and is annoyed by it, and every opposing fan knows it, you don't think the guys who actually play football and the coaches on the other side know it and aren't going to plan for that? Absolutely they are. And they got him. They got him over
the other
and over
thing.
again.
You know what the other thing that's so dumb to me is? How many big, huge, awesome Aaron Rodgers plays have come in the 2-minute offense? Like, how many times have we watched Aaron Rodgers make a miracle happen in the 2-minute offense?
True.
Was he waiting until the 1 second on the play clock on those plays? Hell no, because he couldn't. They had to get lined up and get going. I mean, even he should. How dumb is he? Even he should know. Wow, my biggest plays of all time, right? The Jared Cook play, the miracle to Rodgers heave over. I mean, that was last second. The plays to Devontae against the 49ers in week 3.
Yeah.
All that stuff. No hurry-up offense. No get the defense on their heels. Why let them set up?
I never understood it.
And you know who else doesn't? You know who else doesn't like that? Lafleur. Because Rodgers has said it many times. He makes fun of him. He's like, I don't know why he's freaking out over there. LaFleur's waiting. He's almost ready to call timeout because he's so worried about it every time.
Well, I wish they'd flag him more. You know what I mean? Because how often does he actually get it off after the clock's actually to 0?
Yeah, I know.
A bunch of times. You know how many penalties he should have? How many delay games he should have each year? A lot.
Well, I don't want them to do that. I don't know why. Don't say that. You're still a Packer fan, dude. I know you hate Rodgers now, but you can't be. No, as a Packer fan, I don't want them to call it.
To get the change, to be like, okay, I can't do this crap anymore.
Oh, well, maybe. Maybe that'll force them to listen. But
anyway, so, okay, well, I have something I had to bring up, and now it's going to be way late when there's probably not as many people watching, but that's okay. I'll do it later. You mentioned his name. We got to go to this. Matt Lafleur. You watched his interview this week.
Yep.
How do you think?
He seemed annoyed as well.
I know. What do you think about Matt? Like, look, if you're Matt Lafleur right now, how are you feeling?
Annoyed?
Yeah. By everything.
Annoyed by everything? Yes. I would be too. I'm like, I am so sick of this crap. Like, I don't know. All I know is this. When the guy started, he looked like he was 25 years old. And after only 3 years with Aaron Rodgers, the guy's got gray in his beard. He's got his crow's feet are way more crow's feet in his eyes. The guy looked like he's aged 10 years in 3 years. And it's probably because he never knows what the heck's going to happen because his quarterback just does whatever the hell he wants. Can you imagine?
And he's got all these guys not there. And they talk about how year to year things change a little bit, right? They add, they tweak, they change some terminology, do all this stuff. And you got all these guys not there for it right now. I mean, when they asked him about Rodgers being there, and he's like, no, he's not here. I mean, he sounded kind of annoyed.
He was. He's like, how do you not know he's not here? He said he wasn't going to be here. He wasn't here last year. Why would he be here this year?
But then all these other guys not there too, and they're trying to.
That's the shocking one to me. They're
only second year under this defensive coordinator, right? It's only their second year under this defensive coordinator, and a bunch of players have said in the past, these are players. I never played in the NFL. I couldn't speak to this, but I've heard many players say, that first year you're kind of just figuring it out, kind of figuring out the defense. That second year is where you really start to get it and really start to show what the defense can do. Well, You guys don't want to put all the time you can into really showing what you can do? Come on, man. Where are you at? Where are you at? And then you're trying to totally fix your special teams with Big Sakia, who doesn't get to be on the Raiders anymore now that they signed Tyler Lancaster and have him on their squad.
Yeah, Tyler Lancaster.
Tyler Lancaster, good luck, buddy. He's a good player. Congratulations, Raiders. I think that's a good signing, Rick. But you got a guy trying to overhaul the special teams. Don't you think he wants to see the players he's going to be working with on special teams? Hello. Anyway.
I think that the... Yeah. Oh, yeah, also Mercedes Lewis wasn't there.
Oh. Okay.
I forgot about that. I didn't mention him. I wish he was out there, too, like forever. But, what are you going to do? That's another guy I wish they would just let go. And I hate to say it, but Mason Crosby, too. Sorry, Mom.
Yep, Mason should have...
Mason, Mercedes, Rodgers, all gone. It's done. They're old. Get them out. See ya. Bye. Let's start a new thing.
Aaron Rodgers, MVP, Ben. Back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah, he's so great.
And he's going to get one, maybe two more. That's what I was saying before. He's going for it.
He's
going for most MVPs of all time. That'll be the new thing. What's it going to be called? I don't even know how to say it. It's too many letters. It's not going to be as catchy as GOAT, but there'll be some thing that'll signify most MVPs of all time, and that'll be him. So at least he'll have that. He might, because Russell Wilson still might beat him out for quarterback rating when it's all said and done, or maybe even Mahomes,
or maybe Justin Herbert,
Herbert. Because remember, average per attempt is a big piece of that calculation. Quarterback rating too.
Well, Rodgers had a very high quarterback rating on deep passes. He was like number 2 last year.
I know, he just didn't throw enough.
So, I know, but when he did, they were good.
I know.
So I mean, and that's with MVS dropping balls once in a while. So I mean, hey, that's the thing. It's so dumb. The guy could be awesome. We've watched him be awesome.
Yep.
Before he was a diva jerk face, when he was a hardworking
absolutely
guy who had to be humbled and put in his place, and then he worked hard and he was awesome. And then somewhere along the way, his head got way too big, and he thought he knew everything, and didn't listen to anybody anymore. And now he makes $150 million. Way more than anybody that's associated with the Packers. Therefore, he is the owner of the Packers, and he can do whatever the crap he wants. Well, he is. He's the owner of the Packers.
No, I understand.
Every other team has a guy who is the owner, who is the millionaire, or the billionaire.
That's what he should say to the Lambeau Field crowd.
Yeah, he should say, I own you to the Bears. He owns the Packers.
Or just
the Packers.
He should go into the next board meeting with the board of directors. Goody can be there. Everybody can be there. And he can just go in there and say that to them. Because it's true. He owns them all. He owns them all. They've given him all the power. And he
all the power.
They stood up to Favre. They did not stand up to him. Are you disappointed by that?
Yeah.
They stood up to Favre. Right?
Yeah, but why did they stand up to Favre? Because they knew they had Rodgers, who was working hard and good and ready to play. Jordan Love's not quite ready to play. He's got the Ben problem where he freaks out when something bad happens. Yeah, that happens to him. Rodgers doesn't. He's never freaked out. He just does it.
Yeah, that's true.
So if we had a quarterback who was ready to go, they'd probably tell Rodgers to take off too. Well, we don't, and Rodgers knows it. He's in practice with the guy. He sees him. He knows it.
Yeah, that's
so he uses it to his advantage.
Should be most woodpeckers for most. All right, Mom. I don't know. All right, then. We got it.
Whoa.
All right.
Mom is getting some crazy stuff. I'm sorry I said something about Mason Crosby, Mom. Now you're starting to make no sense with your woodpeckers.
She gets mad.
I know.
You don't want to hear that, Mason Crosby. Look, Mom, Mason's a good dude still. It's just that he's not that good of a kicker anymore.
His kicks always go like this, and it's really weird. He's the only kicker that has kicks go like this as they're up there, and you're not quite sure, is it going to be the right turn at the right time or the wrong turn at the wrong time? You don't know. Everybody else, their kicks go straight, or they always go like this, or they always turn, or they always go one way or the other. Yeah. Mason Crosby's just like bloop, bloop, bloop. How does that even happen? What does it do?
It's boggled my mind for so many years. I can't figure it out. But even on top of that is the fact he can't kick it in the end zone when everybody else and their grandma can. It's a huge problem.
The biggest problem is I'm hoping Big Sakia has his big sack and says, listen, you're not kicking off this year, guy. We're going to have the punter kick off. He's got more legs. Sorry. He'll kick it in the end zone. I know you've been doing it for 12, 13 years, Mason, but it's over, bud. It's over.
All right, so we've been I don't have much more to go, but I do have one more thing, and we've been saying a lot of truth tonight, so I got to put this out there. I said it before. I like Jair. He's a very good player. I think they paid him more than he's worth, but that's fine. Whatever. A lot of people said it had to be done and all this sort of stuff, whatever. But and we went over some of the totality of numbers last week, and all that is absolutely true. The one number that I wasn't prepared for in the process of explaining the fact that it's not a true statement that they don't throw at Jair is that number, and I'm going to give you the percentages. These are just actual numbers, okay? And then we're going to compare, and then I have a very great comparison that's a recent one, because a lot of times online you can't find some of these statistics of what you need are targets, the number of times that player was targeted as a defensive back. And then also you need to know how many plays they played, because we looked at games last week.
Yeah.
It's really more about how many plays did they play versus how many targets. And then you can figure out a percentage of opportunities they had. And then what did they do in those opportunities? Okay. So now Jair Alexander. Okay. Jair Alexander, for his career, okay, his first season he was targeted. He played, I'm not getting into all the numbers here, but he was targeted 91 times, 12%. He had a 12% target rate. So 760 defensive snaps targeted 91 times. That's 12%. Okay, I'm not going to give you all the rest of the numbers. He had 100 in 2019 where he played all 16 games. He had 110 targets with a 10.7% target rate. In 2020, which was where everybody was like, oh my God, only 80 targets. He had an 8.9% target rate, which is lower. Okay. But that's not like crazy low. That's not like I never throw at the guy. And I have a comparison for that. And then in 2021, actually in his limited action, he played 219 snaps before he was injured, got targeted 22 times. And he gave up a couple of touchdowns in those 22 targeted times as well, but he was targeted 10%. So his career average is 10.4% target rate. That's not never throw at the guy. Here's a comparison for a guy that they actually never threw at. Richard Sherman, I don't have the old days, but in 2018, kind of his resurgence with the 49ers, he played in 14 games, 836 snaps, and they targeted him 39 times.
Wow.
4.6% target rate. That's I don't throw at the guy. 10.4, that's pretty average. Give you a comparison. Last season, Eric Stokes had 935 snaps, was targeted 97 times for a 10.4% target rate. The exact same as Jair for his career. So rookie corner targeted 10.4%. Guy who never gets targeted allegedly targeted 10.4%.
I want to see Kevin King's targeted percent. I bet you it's like 25%.
It's pretty high. It's pretty.
Because I bet the quarterbacks are like, "Hey, where's Kevin King?" Oh yeah,
yeah. Especially if you're playing smart quarterbacks, you're like, "Wait, oh, where's that guy?" Yeah. Now here's the other. Now Rasul Douglas, okay, was interesting because, he was targeted at a higher rate, especially early on. Not as much in 2019. Last season, his target rate, okay, 64 targets on 680 defensive snaps. So 680 defensive snaps, 64 targets,
and less than
9.4% target rate for Rasul Douglas last season.
Well, he got a lot of targets in the middle of the season there, and then at the end of the year, teams were shying away from him because he made so many plays.
Right.
So, like, that's the definition of a shutdown corner, where the guy makes so many plays that other guys aren't even going to bother trying to target anymore because it's dumb.
Yeah.
I mean,
but anyway, those are the real numbers.
yeah.
Okay. So it's myth that they'd never throw his way. Myth for Jair Alexander. And the difference and the points that Ben and I were trying to make is where are the game-changing plays? Where are the production? Where are the things as a defensive back, as a corner, from an outside cornerback spot that you can do to impact the game? Where is it? It's not there. I mean, he's good in coverage, but he's had opportunities and he doesn't make game-changing plays that often. So that's just reality. And I just want to share that truth here and bust the myth that he never gets targeted. Richard Sherman, I was blown away. I'm like, really? He was that freaking old in 2018 and on 836 snaps, only targeted 39 times? 4.6%. That's avoiding a guy. 10.4%. That's the same amount you threw at Eric Stokes last year for all teams. So, just truth.
Yeah.
Surprised by that, Ben? Does that surprise you at all or not?
No.
Okay. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure it surprises Bruce a little bit. Probably surprises Viking Mo. Probably surprises plenty of people.
I'm actually surprised he's as targeted as much as he was when you had Kevin King on the other side for so many years. Because you'd think they'd just target Kevin King every play, and like Jair would get 0 targets. But, you know, that's what I would do if I was quarterback. I'd be like, Kevin King, there he is. Okay. Kevin King, okay, sweet.
Well, that's exactly what Tom Brady did in the
playoff
game a couple years ago, right? It's like, yeah, until they decided to pressure him and not give him a chance. Oh, well, that's anyway. I just had to clear that up, finalize those points. Those are legit. I like people at the end of the day. I don't care if you're a number one pick. I don't care if you're a guy that was kicked around by 5 teams or 4 teams and now on our team. At the end of the day, I like football players that impact the game and make plays. So that's what I want to see out of Jair. He signed the big fat contract. Make some more impactful plays. Keep up good coverage. I'm glad PFF thinks you're the top corner in the league, but I want to see it. I want to see it on the field because I don't trust PFF. I trust what I see on the field, and if you're not making plays or whatever, I don't give a crap what PFF says. Same thing with offensive linemen. I don't agree with their offensive line ratings either because it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense that they give a guy who blocks for 0 seconds and Billy Turner sometimes a better rating than a guy who blocks until the whistle and Lukey Patrick. It makes no sense. Like, I would give you a 50% bonus rating. Like if your rating was, if it was a 1 through 10, right? Even if you screwed up on a block, but then you went and got another guy, I'd give you a couple, like, you know, like if you sucked on the first block and you got like a 1 because you sucked, but then you went and tried to block somebody else, I'd at least give you like a 3. But if you sucked on the first block and blocked nobody and then blocked nobody, how does it doesn't? You should get a 0. Billy Turner is a 0. Like that's his rating, or negative 5 million. That's Billy Turner's rating. And now he's the Broncos' problem again for some reason. Why would they sign him back?
I don't. I good locker room guy, maybe.
It just, you know,
smart, I guess. But
this is the thing that it proves to me.
All right,
NFL coaches are really not that smart. Apparently, they're really not that smart. Nathaniel Hackett is probably a ding dong. Because the first thing I would say if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, we're thinking about signing Billy Turner," and I would have been like, "No, no, do not waste money on this guy. He is not good." But apparently he's the head coach and he likes him there. He should change.
Maybe he's just a depth guy going to help with the terminology and help lead the linemen and stuff like that. And
The only good thing is Russell Wilson will get his butt kicked because, Billy Turner won't be able to block anybody, so that'd be nice if that's the case. If he plays, that is, who knows?
What if they bring Wilson back to like old school running days and just have like Quinn Miners lead around the end for him and him just be like, just stay behind Quinn. That could be a good play. Russell Wilson off the fake, like then lead Miners around the end, down block. He's the lead blocker. Wilson comes off the handoff fake and sprints out to the other side and follows Quinn Miners to pay dirt. I'd run that play like 5 times a game.
Well, even better would be to just have him run out there and like protect him outside the pocket, like kind of like Lane Taylor. Because Russell Wilson, one of his best attributes is his deep moon ball that he throws.
Yeah, Colin Cowherd loves that.
So if you can get, and he's so damn short, he can't see over the offensive lineman. So the key would be roll him out, send a guy with him, like the Packers did on the the Jared Cook play where you had Lane Taylor over there. Or is that what it was, Lane Taylor? Yeah, Lane Taylor was out there blocking for him, right? As like his protector, personal protector guy.
Yep.
Gave him a couple little bit extra time to get the pass off. Russell Wilson be able to see everything because he wouldn't have big guys in front of him. You'd roll him out. His moon ball would be perfect. I mean, that's what I would do almost every single play. And then if the defense figured it out, well, then I would do some fake moon rolls. And next thing you know, boom, you got all the way over to the other side of the field. Everybody's coming over to Russell Wilson, and then you just throw a wide receiver screen to the other side. Boom. Gone. I don't know. I'm not that smart, though.
I'm not either. But I do know that I trust what I see on the football field, and I trust what players do and production over whatever their PFF rating is to tell me whether that's, a really good player or not a really good player. So that's where I'm at. You guys believe what you want. I think it's amazing how many people, throw these PFF ratings around as like just law or whatever. And don't you people also watch the game, and can't you make your own, identification of how you think this player does or not? I mean, I think we can't know everything, because we're not the coaches. Ultimately, the coaches can make the clearest decision. Although
not always.
Sometimes we question why, or we question those decisions. But as watching the game, there are many things you can notice and understand if you watch it closely, and it can give you a pretty good idea if guy's a good player or not. So I don't know. That's just maybe that's just me, but I'm not going to sit here and just throw PFF things around and call it like law, because they got some wacky ass ratings in there sometimes, is what I'm saying.
Well, all I know is this: PFF was not very high on Justin Herbert the year he was drafted. They thought Tua was going to be way better than Justin Herbert.
That's another knock.
So obviously they were wrong. And somebody else was right. I don't know who that guy was, but there was one guy who said Justin Herbert was going to be amazing. I don't know who he was, but he was a genius on the Wonderick score. So maybe that guy should be a general manager, or at least a scout. Could I at least be a scout? I have an eye for talent. Let's go.
We are de facto scouts. There is somebody in the Packers organization that picks up on our stuff, and I swear it happens, dude. There's too many coincidences, right? There just are. I think we're we're unpaid scouts for the Packers. We should get some coin because we've helped, make some of the right decisions on this team, I think, inadvertently.
This is the first year they actually drafted a guy I talked about for once, in Devontae Wyatt, so that was shocking.
Last year, I mistakenly said, they were going to draft Amari Rodgers and Cole Van
that's
Lanen.
true. You were all over that.
And Cole Van Lanen, and they.
So all right. So we've proven you are not a good judge of scout. I should be the scout, not you. You should be there so that they do the opposite of what you say. That's why they should hire both of us. Always listen to me. Avoid any guy you say, and then we'll be good. See, but you don't watch all the stuff like I do, so you don't have time. You got too many things going on. Of course, though, actually, I don't. The only reason why I knew so much about Justin Herbert was because that was during the pandemic, and I wasn't working for like a month and a half, and all I did was watch film all these guys, you know. And I watched, and it started with me watching the combine, and I was like, God dang, look at this guy. How is every pass perfect to every single receiver when he's never worked with these guys before? Because you watch all the other quarterbacks, and it's a little too far, it's too low, they got to wait for the ball, it's all this kind of stuff. And it's like, with Herbert, it was never like that. It was always perfect. Perfect pass. He didn't drill it at a guy when he was 10 yards away. He kind of let up a little bit. When it was a deep pass, he drilled it as freaking like a madman. He had moon balls. It was like insane. I don't care if he didn't play, if he played at Oregon and never left Oregon in his whole entire life, and people were afraid that he was. I mean, come on, people. Now, was I wrong about Justin Jefferson? Yes, apparently. But when you watch LSU tape of Justin Jefferson, he was the fourth option on the team. Jamar Chase was number 1. The tight end was number 2, or Travis Etienne was number 2, and the tight end was number 3, and Justin Jefferson lined up in the slot, and nobody worried about him. He never had any coverage on him for like 9, 10. He could do whatever he wanted for 9 yards or whatever. And a lot of his big plays were plays where the play broke down, and he was just open. He wasn't running good routes or anything because he didn't have to. I didn't know he could run good routes like he does now. It wasn't on the film. He didn't look special. You know what I'm saying? So that was one where, you know, and I was just saying, like, I don't know, why is everybody saying he's so good? Like, he doesn't look like he's doing anything. But, you know. And that's why this year with the wide receivers, and I said, hey, out of all the receivers, I like Chris Olave. At first I thought he sucked, but I think I got him mixed up with Garrett Wilson, because Garrett Wilson is the one that I don't like. And I also liked George Pickens. And it's sad that we got the wrong guy. I hate to say it. I'm hoping Christian Watson. I think Christian Watson's an awesome guy. But I think George Pickens was a pretty awesome guy too. And I think the Packers made a mistake. I really think they made a mistake. Because Pickens has hands. And Watson does not have hands, man. I don't know.
You gotta be able to catch it. You gotta be able to catch it. Like,
it's just,
I mean, that's the number one part of the job. That's the most important part of the job, is you got to be able to catch it. So if he struggles catching it, it could be bad.
And the other thing is George Pickens was a good blocker too. Like, he would go on, he would like destroy dudes in the running game, blocking corners. He'd just like maul them. So it's like he's coming off an injury. And who got George Pickens? I can't remember who drafted him.
I can't remember either. I have to look it up, but
the freaking Steelers got him.
Oh, the Steelers, yeah.
The Steelers got him, and they got my other guy. Didn't they get Kelvin Austin the third too? They got both those guys.
I think so.
Oh my God, the Steelers! They always draft. I mean, they always draft
Colts.
Yeah. Oh, the Colts got. Yeah, the Colts got two of the guys I like too.
Seahawks drafted Bo Melton in the 7th round.
Yeah,
my man Bo.
Well, Romeo Dobbs looks like he could be...
I know, it just kind of freaking annoyed me that the Packers could have goddamn scooped him up in the 7th round. I mean, could have given a kid a shot in the 7th round, for crying out loud. Yeah. And he could have taken care of all your return problems at bare minimum. But whatever. I think he's going to be a solid pro. I mean, he's not going to like blow anybody away, but I think he could have been an impactful guy and shored up some special teams. Anyway, I'm Team Bo all the way. I'll follow his career. Hopefully Seahawks don't screw him up too bad. But anyway, I'm not the best at evaluating guys. We understand that, at least as guys coming out of college. But I am pretty good at evaluating whether your guy's a good offensive lineman or not. And, you know, I'm just saying. Yeah. And we'll see my guy with the Bears this year. We'll see how he does. All right, time to go. Thanks for being around. You guys are awesome. Hopefully you take it. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. I almost forgot. Hold on. Oh, sorry, bud. Sorry about that. We have a birthday. We have a birthday today. A fart gun birthday salute. It is the one and only number one. I was going to say rodent, but I don't think as a weasel technically a rodent. Anyway, you know, I don't know if a weasel's a rodent or not specifically. I'm not a zoologist or animalologist. But what I am is a person.
You're definitely not that.
What I am is a person who knows a weasel, loves a weasel, and it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, weasel! Happy birthday, fart gun salute. Oh, that's pathetic. Not that great.
Ooh.
That was a little more weasel-like.
That was weird because it was like a really bad one and then a little extra at the end.
Well, I know.
Sometimes I
that
get
happens.
some of those.
Now, I will say again, Weasel also wore number 62 in high school. Did you know that? Maybe that's another reason why I like Lucas Patrick so much.
Maybe.
I have an affinity for number 62. Weasel was also a right guard. Oh my God, it's all making sense.
Weasel played right guard at 5'9" or 5'8" and 120 pounds.
He was 160 pounds, but he also lowered his head frequently, whether it was offense or defense. He speared guys, lowered his head a lot. That's the way he played. Hard nose, speared, not blocked to the whistle, but speared guys after the whistle. That was Weasel. 100%.
I like that. It sounds like me. It sounds like something I do.
All right, I appreciate all you guys. Ben, I love you, man. We'll catch you guys next week for more Hey Bros show. And when we have some updates, we'll bring them along to you on other happenings, we hope, soon. Bye.
Tell me why the unicorn, Mr.